Hello everybody, welcome to the 22nd 22nd video in the tutorial series. And yeah, on the 22nd tutorial video in the ZombieGame tutorial series, and we're going to be creating a scene manager, and with that we're also going to add a scene. We're going to create another scene just to test out if the scene manager is working. So first thing is, on a different playlist or a different video, I created a video, basically a behind the scenes video of me creating assets that we're going to be using inside our game. So yeah, I'll put the link to the playlist and the video down in the description. So yeah, guys, you don't have to watch it. It's not gonna add any value, any programming skills or value into the whatever. But I think it would be just nice to know like how I go into, how much effort I try and put into this tutorial series. And yeah, so now let's go into where is it? Where's the image? Adobe projects, Photoshop, game assets. Oh my goodness, I forgot to export it. Yeah, so I forgot to export it. So let me just open up Photoshop. Meanwhile, let me open up the projects folder. SRC, no, not an SRC, resources, images, characters, apps. I'll go ahead and create a new folder, and I'll name this folder what? Loading screens. Loading screens. And when we go into it, and that's where I'm gonna save this. File, export as project export. And inside of there, I'm simply going to go to data D, projects. Oh, sorry, games, that's what that means. Resources, images, loading screen, and bulk on screen. Let me just change up the name. Card screen.jpg. Now that we're done, we can just go into our code. Now we don't need Photoshop anymore. Save. Yes, if there are any changes. So yeah, so let's go into NetBeans and let's get started. So now, first thing I'm gonna do is create a scene manager. So inside of scene, I'll go ahead and create a new class, new Java class, and I'll call this scene manager. And this class is basically going to be a manager class. You cannot create objects out of it. It's just going to be like a util class. So what we're also going to have is a list of scenes. So first things first, we're not gonna use any constructor or anything. And so first thing, we're going to have a scene object, scene, and I'll call this current scene. And I'll make this public and static. What else do we do? We're also going to create a list of scenes. A list. Array list, sorry, not list. Public, static, array list, scenes. What? Array list. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm getting old. I'm forgetting. Okay, scene. Array list of scene, and we're gonna call this all scenes. scenes, and we're gonna create a. We need to import this, and I'm gonna create a public method, public static method, void instantiate or initialize, and yeah, and what we're simply going to say is, no, in fact, let me just initialize it from here. Just going to simply say equals to new array list. Oh, I forgot the equal sign. I'm seriously getting old. Okay. Inside the initialize method, we're simply going to say current scene. Not current scene. All scenes dot add scene. And instead of putting the gameplay scene inside the game manager, where's the game manager? Game manager, main, game manager. There we go. Instead of putting a gameplay scene inside here, we're simply going to go inside scene manager and we're going to simply say add new scene, new gameplay scene. Control C and Control V. We're also going to add a public static method. Void add scene if you wanted to add a scene. Add scene. We're going to take a scene object, scene. And we're simply going to add the scenes to our list of scenes. So we're going to say all scenes.add scene. All scenes.add scene.add scene. There we go. We're saying scene too much. I don't know why. And there we go. So we have our add scene. Now we're going to have a new method. We're going to also have a public static void start scene, and we're going to need a name of the scene, string name, scene name, scene, E-N-E-N-A-M-E, there we go. And now I need to add a new whatever. I need to say this is protected. And also need to add a new variable and we're going to put it name. Protected string name. And I'm just going to add a get name function. Oh, we don't need to add a name. Because I remember we already added a name to the game manager class. So we don't need this. So we're simply going to say scene.name. So we're basically going to loop through, we're going to have a for loop. First thing first is we're going to simply say current scene is current scene.end scene. Don't end scene. No, before ending we do this first. So we're going to loop through the scene and find the scenes. And find the scene that we're looking for. We're going to look for the scene that we want to start. So I'm going to simply go and create a for loop for int I is equal to 0 or I is smaller than 10. No, why am I going with 10? Smaller than scene, all scenes dot size, all scenes dot size. Simply say I plus, and inside here we're going to say if all scenes dot get I. So I'll just simply create a scene object, a temporary scene object, scene temp equals to all scenes dot get I. All scenes dot get I. So I don't think I need to explain what a for loop is, how for loop works. So yeah, so temporary. So so scene temp is equal to all scenes to get the current index we're on. So yeah. And then we're gonna say if temp dot get name dot equals scene name, then what we're going to do is we're going to simply say current scene dot end, and then after ending the scene we're going to say current scene is equal to temporary scene, and after that we're simply going to say current scene dot start scene. Here we go. And there we go. So this is the function for the start scene. There we go. So you can start scenes. So that's basically going to move between scenes. And yeah. So you can add scene, you can start scene, and public static. Let me just do this. Get current scene generate. There we go. So I think this is it for the scene manager. I don't think we have to do anything else. Okay, yes, one more thing we need to go inside the scene class, and we need to have a protected boolean. Has been started. has been started to know if we've started this thing, if we've started the scene. So has been started equals to false, and inside the start function, the start scene method, I think, so start scene. So, and then we're gonna simply say start has been started true. Has been started is equal to true. And inside at the very top, we're simply going to say if scene has been started, we're just simply going to return. Let me try and explain this to you guys. So when we're creating okay, I don't like this theme. Let me just change the theme. I don't think it's very visible. Let me see if I can change the theme. Options. So memory. Right. Let's try out this theme. Okay, it's just hurting my eyes. So let me just go back to what is it called? To Nori today, and let's just change this. Now I'm just gonna put it back to default. No, let me just try Earth and hit apply. Super bright, but whatever. I hope you guys see properly. Yeah, I think it's kind of not being seen. So yeah, so protected array list. Let me zoom. So has been started. So basically, what does this mean? Why do we create a has been started boolean? So basically, it's a flag to check if when we call the start function inside the scene, we're going to start the scene. If the scene has already been started, if everything has been called inside this, it means that this function has been run before on this scene object. So what's going to happen is that it's going to neglect everything up to here. So what this means, so what the return means, basically it tells a void method to end execution here. So if I click on it, so basically this return keyword basically tells this void method to end over here and to not continue execution. So if has been started, this function is going to end over here. It's simply going to end over here, and everything else is going to get discarded. And if it's not true, it's just going to continue. I hope I tried to be clear, guys. Don't blame me. Don't blame me, guys. I'm not that clear. I'm not that clear. So yeah. Anyway, so inside the scene manager, let's create a new scene. I'll create a new welcome scene. Welcome scene, and we're going to use that image that we created, and we're going to simply say extends scene, extends scene, meant for abstract methods, whatever. Here I'll simply have scene equals to, why did I do this? Have scene and welcome scene. Welcome scene, there we go. We have the constructor. I'm just too lazy to type out the whole thing. Super, enter, and there we go. Let me just zoom in. There we go. So super public welcome scene. So I already have the constructor. Now inside the init method, I'm simply going to say sprite is equal to util.load image. Load Control Z. Import that, add import yes. Load image file, and we're simply going to go to resources / images / loading screens / welcome .jpg. I hope it's right, I don't know. Let me just go to folder and check. Welcome screen, loading screens. I misspelled screen. Welcome screen.jpg. And we just need to try and catch, sound signal with try catch, and all that stuff. And inside the update method, since the text is going to say, now first of all, let me just try and run this. So let me go to the game manager, and we're going to change a few stuff. So instead of creating a gameplay scene, I'm just going to simply say I'm going to remove all this stuff. Instead of creating a gameplay scene, I'll go ahead and I'll simply say scene. There we go. And inside the initialize function, I'm simply going to say scene manager. Import that and dot initialize, and we're going to say scene manager start scene. What does this function do again? I forgot. Start scene. And we go to game manager, and I'm going to simply say scene manager dot start scene, and the name of our scene is going to be welcome screen. It's going to be welcome screen, yes. And that's it. And then scene. So I don't need all of this actually. So we simply just need a reference to the scene. I'm going to say scene equals to scene manager dot get scene, get current scene, and inside the whatever, and there we go. So I think that's very good. Now since we're going to start with the welcome screen, I need to go inside the welcome screen and set the name of this thing, of the whatever's the welcome scene screen. So name is equal to welcome screen. Just save this, and then let's just run this. Wow, error. Okay, now pointer exception, thread 2, jQuery, doesn't explain why we're getting scene to update. Welcome screen. So for some reason scene is now. Oh, we didn't add the scene to the whatever. So I didn't add the scene. I didn't add the scene inside the game manager. That's why we're getting an error. We need to add the scene. We shouldn't forget this. Control V, add new scene. Instead of new gameplay scene, we're simply gonna say new welcome scene. And when we run this now, still getting now pointer inside the scene manager. Start scene, current scene dot end. Okay, if current scene doesn't, if current scene isn't now. So basically, if current scene isn't now, if current scene does not equal to now. Okay, so it's working, but what we didn't do is simply draw this, right? So we're gonna say inside here, I'm gonna say graphics dot draw scene dot draw image draw image 00 and now. And now when we run this, there we go. Press enter to print. But it kind of looks cheesy. So I think I need to move it to the left a little bit. Offset this to 5. To the right, not to the left. You know what? I'm simply going to change this to 640 and 480. No. It's fine. Just put to 0, and for the width and height, 640, I'm going to change that, and height to 480. And if we run this, there we go. So now we have our welcome screen. Now we just need to add code to make sure this works. So now to do this, we're going to go to our key input to our input manager. Where's our input? There we go. Input manager. We're going to add another key. Control C, Control V. So key dot put. Alright, enter. What's it called? I don't know what's called. Enter. I'm just gonna simply name it enter, and then key event dot vk underscore enter. There we go. So now inside our update method, we're simply going to inside the welcome scene, inside the update method, we're simply going to say doesn't have an update method. That's weird. Okay, I forgot to create another method. Okay, so this is where programming is. So when I create a new an abstract, protected abstract, public abstract, void update scene and do this. There we go. And before we update any game object, we're simply going to update the scene And inside our worker manager, we need to implement the abstract method, update scene, and go back here, and there we go. So we're going to say if input manager input manager dot is first get key first and enter. Oh my goodness, we're gonna look for the enter key if it was pressed, and we're gonna write in here enter. We're gonna say scene manager dot start scene. We're just gonna start the gameplay scene anyways, so gameplay. Then what's the name of the gameplay scene? Oh wait, we didn't implement this method, implement abstract method, there we go. This method should be before the update, should be somewhere over here, right after init, before end. There we go. So what was I going to choose? Okay, we need to set a name for the gameplay scene. So we're going to say name is equal to game play scene. So scene, and then we're going to start the gameplay scene. And now when I run this, when I press enter, okay, it's still not working. I have no idea why. Let me just do some debugging. In fact, let me just pause and then I'll debug this and try and figure out what's the problem, and then I'll get back to you guys. Anyways, I think I figured out what the problem was. It's because inside the game manager, instead of saying scene.update, I should be saying is I should say scene equals to scene manager. No worries, I need to make this public static scene instead of doing it from here. It's public static scene, save, and then go to the go to the scene manager. There we go. So and then we're gonna simply say and in here we're going to say gameplay. And in fact, doing this is the wrong way, because how I already started doing this is going to be wrong. Let me just do it the longer way. So I'm going to simply say before updating, where do we update? Update. There we go. So we're simply going to say scene equals to scene manager dot get current scene, and we're good to go. And if I run it now, it should work. And I press enter. There we go. Let me just close this, and yeah. So guys, now we got our scene manager, and I can press enter, and we're into the next scene. And if we're in the gameplay scene, I can simply add a method inside the update scene function. I can simply say if. So I'm going to go back into the input manager and add a key. I'll add escape key, and I can simply say this escape, and so it's not escape. Yeah, I can say underscore escape, and inside my gameplay scene I simply say if key manager, input manager dot put the key first, and we're simply going to say escape. If you're pressing the escape key, let me zoom in again. If you're pressing the escape key, we just simply go back to the previous scene. We're going to go to the welcome screen, and we're going to say scene manager dot start scene. Start scene, and what's the name of the scene? Is it welcome screen? I think. Welcome, no space. Welcome screen. And if we run this, I press enter, we're in this scene, and if I press escape, we're back in this scene, enter. And if we move around and I press escape, we're back on this screen, but if I press enter, okay, that's the problem. We need to find it, we need to replace this, redo this thing. So, let me just go get the door. So what we're trying to fix now is that we're not resetting the scene when we call the end. For example, what is it? We need to reload the scene when we end the scene, because the scene manager was there. We're gonna call it the end method, current scene at end. So what do we need to do? We're going to, when we call the end method in here, number one, I think yeah, I need to do something else. I should rename this, refactor this to end scene. Refactor, rename. Okay, whatever. Rename, refactor, rename. Yeah. So I'll simply say and scene. Or in fact, I'll just simply create a new method. Public void and scene. And what I'll do is, what I'll simply do is, I'll inside the engine, number one, I'm just simply gonna clear the game object array. Game objects.clear, and we're going to, after clearing the game objects, that's when we end. No, we end first, then we clear. Sorry, we're gonna call end first, then we clear. We're gonna end first, then we're gonna simply say game objects.clear, game array. So now, if we run this, and if I press enter, there we go. And I think if we move around, if I press escape and I press enter again, okay, still, I don't know why this is still happening. This guy should go away. Let me just look at my code first, and then yeah, I'll get back to you guys. So therefore, guys, so we're done. So I figured out my mistakes, and I'm such a klutz. So the first thing that we did wrong is instead of the scene manager, instead of calling the end scene method, or I already actually had close scene, okay? So I'm just gonna delete that, we don't need that, we have an end scene. So instead of calling the end scene method, I'm simply calling end. So I need to change this from public to protected. Yes, so if I go to scene manager, I shouldn't be able to call this anymore. Okay, I still can. So I must go into scene manager. What's it called? Change this from protected to private. Okay, so you can't do that. I didn't know you could do that. So anyway, so we're gonna do this. So anyways, I'm gonna go into scene manager, and instead of calling end, I'm gonna simply call end scene instead of end. And there we go. So first thing first is when we enter a scene, and when we exit it, everything should be cleared. Every single game object within the scene is cleared, so that's a good thing. The other thing is we need to reset every single game object and we need to call the start scene, because we're calling this method over here, remember? We're calling the start scene function, and inside the start scene function is we have if the scene has been started, that is when we can continue. If it has not been started, then we can continue. But if it has been started, we shouldn't continue starting the game, starting the scene. So inside the end scene function, what we should do is simply say has been started is equal to false. In fact, I should actually put this at the very end, right after clearing the game objects. Drop S, and now when we run this, we can enter, we can move the player around. The moment I exit the scene and I start, it's started at the center again. There we go. So guys, that is it. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, so the next video is going to be on, what is it again? I forgot. Yeah, so we're gonna, oh yeah, I remember now, it's going to be on we're going to be creating a let me just check the order of my files. What's 22? Creating a scene manager, that's what we did. Creating a game camera. Oh yes, so we're gonna create a game camera. But in fact, before we create a game camera, we're gonna create a game camera. So yes. So basically what that means is, for example, if we have a bigger scene and our player wanders around, we don't want to we do not want the player to leave the screen. What we want to have is have the camera follow the screen. Have the camera follow the player around. So yeah guys, so stay tuned to this stuff, and yes guys, so peace.